Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, you must become the victor. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you knew I was going to be doing a video on this because I've been talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard for months and months and months. I tried to warn that this game was going to be a disaster before it even launched because I could see the writing on the wall. It wasn't just the fact that you obviously had a push for LGBT inclusion in the game, which is a kiss of death at this point. It was their Fortnite-style intros of the characters. It was the aesthetics, the overly bright visuals. It felt like a game that didn't know exactly what it wanted to be. And makes sense considering the people in charge don't even know what they are. Corrine Bush, a trans individual. I mean, just, this game was messed up from the beginning. And when you see that Patrick Weeks is non-binary and Corrine Bush is a transgender and all these other freaks are put in positions of control, it's no wonder why this game is such a complete and total mess. But I would much rather this game have been good than been bad. I would much rather have been proven wrong because at this point, I could be doing a video about how excited I am about the future of Dragon Age, which is something that I would talk about with friends with Dragon Age Origins. That was a phenomenal game. That was a brilliant game. This game is a muddied abomination version of that that's been put through like a Fortnite filter. It's atrocious. And the inclusion of barves and barfs and, you know, I'm non-binary. Like, if you have that sort of freak shit in your game, it's a kiss of death. And I warn against it because there are real-world ramifications for that. You can ruin your reputation and your financials. And I would much rather be talking in the positive than reading this like it's an obituary for Dragon Age. But that's exactly what it is. Because Dragon Age tanked the financials of EA. Let's take a look at this. Ooh. 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 Before this report, the stock price of EA was about $140. I want you, some of you may not be into stock prices. You may not understand this. The report comes out. And the price of EA, that is what we call a plummet. The stock price goes from 142 to 118. Now it's sitting at $116. That is this line right here may as well be a guillotine for BioWare. This is absolutely destructive. You lose 21% of your stock price in a day because that's how bad the report is. Now, some people may not be aware that Dragon Age used to be a pretty damn good seller. Asmongold made an offhanded comment that Dragon Age, oh, that game doesn't really sell that well. Little did he know that the price of, or rather the sales numbers of Dragon Age Inquisition was over 12 million copies. And what we're seeing from the latest reports is that not only did it not hit 12 million copies, it's released in October, engaged around 1.5 million players during the 3 months ended December 31st, 2024, which is nearly half of its expectations. This game did so abominably, was received so poorly, that it literally tanked a $1 billion company. EA is huge. And look at that. It looks like a giant shark came in and took a bite out of it. And the thing is, we've been warning about this for years. I've been talking about this for years. If you create a game that is true to the core player base, that is true to the fundamental spirit of its successor, and by successor, I don't necessarily even mean the game before, but I mean the spirit of the franchise as it was intended, as it was envisioned, which is a dark RPG. If you stick to that, you're usually not going to go wrong. You keep LGBTQ out of it, or if you have it in there, it's sort of a don't ask, don't tell, sort of in the closet thing that you can access, but it's not really promoted, it's not really out there, which is what they did with Dragon Age Origins. That game had a gay romance option with an elf, but it wasn't really a big deal because they didn't talk about it. And that's the main thing here. Even the perception of LGBTQ at this point, due to how absolutely indefensibly evil these people have been over the last 10 years, the intrusion into people's lives in a way that is absolutely malicious and mendacious, the way that they've gone after kids publicly. You remember that song from the San Francisco Choir saying, yeah, we're coming after your kids and stuff like that? If you're still supporting the LGBT community at this point, there's something deeply and profoundly wrong with you. And the end result of you hiring these trans freaks and these, non-binary people, the result of that is eventually going to come to this. You're going to see all of your most profitable franchises end up in the dirt because you're hiring people who are mentally ill. If they don't even have the ability to understand that they're one gender or the other, how are they going to make a story that reflects reality in the real world and do it in a way? And by the way, some people say, well, it's fantasy. The best fantasy is a game that can incorporate fantastical elements but make it in a real world style situation so that people can understand. So we look at this, and Electronic Arts has lowered its revenue forecast for its current business year, partly due to what it called underperformance of FC25 and Dragon Age the Veilguard. That's right. And by the way, this all could have been avoided. It all could have been avoided. There was absolutely no need for this situation to take place. This was intentional. You decided to let EA, or rather you decided to let BioWare, make decisions that were counter to what the core audience wanted. You decided to let them change it in 10 different ways. There was no real leadership, no real oversight, and you let them put a trans in charge, which is a mistake every time, and then you let a non-binary Patrick Weeks write the game, and they got together and they said, well, you know what, we're going to make this game inclusive. Well, guess what? This game was inclusive. It included pretty much everyone from all walks of life who didn't want to buy the game. You unified people against you, which is not what you want to do. The color scheme of this game was terrible. The fact that Tosh couldn't be dismissed, that would have done a lot for this game if you could dismiss Tosh the moment that they join your party and never reference them again. That would have done so much. Or if you could have bullied Tosh, that also would have gone a long way. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a disaster. And let this be a lesson to each and every one of you, whether you're a corporation or an individual. This is not the way. If you want your most profitable franchises to go down in flames, if you want to alienate your audience, if you want to undermine what could be a very lucrative opportunity, then start hiring these LGBTQ people, put them in charge, and just wait. And you'll see, whether it's a year or 2 years or even 10 years, the chickens are going to come home to roost, and you're going to pay the price for it. Because these freaks do not care one bit about you or your brand or doing a good job. They're activists. They're all activists, and everything is about themselves. And, oh, I'm this, and I'm this, and I'm this, and I'm this. It's mental illness, it's delusion, it's entitlement, it's all this other stuff, and people have had enough of it. And so if you're wise, you will abandon this. You will get these people out. You will fire them. Maybe from a trebuchet. Who knows? But get them away from your company as fast as humanly possible. And then, here's the thing. I really don't want you to destroy Dragon Age, but I think it's already too late. Come back with a dark, gritty, realistic Dragon Age. Come back with a Dragon Age that is as dark and interesting and deep as the original, with zero LGBTQ, great, phenomenal writing. Come back with a game that is for Dragon Age fans. Come back with a game that's for Dragon Age fans. And maybe you can recover this. But I guess what I'll leave on is this. This is your future if you embrace DEI, ESG, wokeness, identity politics, or LGBTQ. This is your fate. Some people may not like that. They may resist against it, but it is the reality. People will lose their jobs because of this. People will be fired because of this. People will be laid off. There are going to be real world ramifications because you decided it was more important to make a multi-million-dollar game about yourself, which is one of the most selfish and irresponsible things I've ever seen. There's not a single person in their right mind who isn't a freak who bought Dragon Age because they have inclusion. That is madness. Madness and stupidity. And I'm here to tell you what this is doing, what this is representing, is indisputable. You cannot continue this way if you want a profitable or successful business. You have to ditch DEI. You have to ditch wokeness, identity politics, far-left progressivism. You have to abandon all of it because it is a poison. That's what I have to say about this video, ladies and gentlemen. EA basically took it up the ass because a bunch of freaks thought it was more important to glorify themselves and their sick, disgusting cult. And now people are going to lose their jobs because of it. That'll do it for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.